video on the Cecihoney's Pixels part of the channel, and this will be our first practical tip, as I've been calling it. Don't say it's classes or lessons, it's more like tips, but I plan to uh, paste here everything that I know, but in tip like pacing. I think it feels less of a big deal to learn when you're searching for tips, and it will be easier for you guys to find what you want to learn or what do you want to practice at a given moment. So the first thing here is basics and fundamentals. I feel that a lot of people doing pixel art misses on that. People go straight to learn the technique of pixel art, but as with any drawing technique or any visual technique, it goes for sculpture as well. You need to understand how things work or how things are, so you can better portray them. Even if you go from something you have in your mind that never seen like that, it will resemble something you have seen unless you go full abstract. But yeah, so art fundamentals are the basics, and it goes like color theory, it goes for shape, it goes for volume, how we represent volume, because that's how we visually recognize things. So the first thing we will do here is shape. We'll talk here about shape, because shape is the most basic thing you can think of to represent something in art or even anything else. So the first thing about shape is in how like you can just have a silhouette or a symbol of something, like you can see in bathrooms, like there is the symbol or street markers, like make a U-turn, or there's a U-turn ahead, or children will pass here, school, etc. So uh, the first, let's start with objects. So I divided this into 32 per 32 squares. It's a good size to start, so that's a new pointer. That's something which is important to touch here. And I'll start drawing a shape, a basic shape here. You guys will understand right away probably what this that I'm drawing is, and that will be our first thing here. So yeah, okay, let me write this here. So I suppose I will link it here and center it properly. So yeah, a simple icon, and that's interesting point, because icons are actually very simple ways to start with pixel art too, easier than start right away with characters. I know a lot of people just want to start with characters. It goes for any form of art nowadays. Most people just want to go there and draw characters because this gets a lot of attention, or because people perceive characters as the main part of, say, a game project or animation, but objects and settings are also important. So here you have something like a sword. I believe you can recognize that this is a sword. What makes so far that you can see, or somehow that it's a sword, is its shape. So you can see that there is a blade, there is a hilt, there's the guard. So yeah, from that standpoint, we can start with, so how do I make like this sword be more recognizable? So later we will add more detail. We separate things here, like add some chip here, maybe add some color later on, but it will be in the future. For now, the point is, make your shapes recognizable. Make whatever you want to do, this is the basic thing you cannot miss. You can somehow miss a few details, a few color spots, you can maybe use a different tone of color for something, but if your basic shape is defined, it will be cool. So over here, second one, this one is quite a staple for most of my workshops. It's a very basic thing. Usually do these the workshops in Piskel, so it's a bit different. And here I am a bit more comfortable because well, I use GraphicsGale a lot for work and stuff. Again, as I said in the previous video, most people do use as a Sprite, and it's, as I said, the better tool out there. A lot of people use it for a reason. But when Azprite came about, I was using GraphicsGale for a long while. I had a lot of projects in its native format, and converting manually everything to Azprite would be crazy. So yeah, here we go. This is it's a little thick here. Let me adjust this. Oh yeah, there we go. We have our apple. So this is an apple. Now, if not by the shape, you could mistake it for another fruit if I made it differently. But with this shape, with the weights done up here and up here, you can recognize this as an apple. It's simple, it's plain over here, but you can see even without color or without any further detail that it's an apple. So why are doing these things? Because when we go to characters, and I will make a simple character here and now, we'll see how things go. If you're working with 32 per 32, I will divide it because I want to mirror. You don't need to go through all the trouble to draw a skeleton, but when it goes to bigger art, you see that I do use a skeleton to actually make the characters feel more proportional, yeah. But you gotta still pay attention to the proportions you want to use. In traditional art or in digital art, we usually go for the standard human is like 7 heads tall. This means that the head is a height marker, so you can decide on character height by considering the head size. So if we go here and draw our character, I will draw the head last in this case, but usually you drew the head first, and, but because here I wanted to do some experiments. But the core point is, before drawing our character, we will be doing this. Now, you can use any of the drawing tools. I like the straight line for pixel art. Particularly the straight line here on GraphicsGale. I can like make several lines and it will go, and you can see how I make curves. We'll talk about curves in a bit. It's part of the shape thing, especially for pixel art. But first let's see that this citizen is in shape. And there we go. So yeah, now we have half character, and we can flip him up. Now I usually like to work with pair numbers for things that might be flipped, and character art sometimes will be flipped for games, but you can do this however you see fit. You don't need to follow this specific. Even I myself change this from project to project. Depends a lot on size, on what you're doing in general. So yeah, here we go. They're taking a bit more shape, and yeah, we have the shape of the character. Let's add some eyes. Actually, eyes are a bit too high. Yeah. So while it may look like very simple right now, you can see that it's there, and you can kind of recognize like, oh yeah, this is a character probably from some platformer or RPG. It would be cool. Let me get back to the capture setting. So yeah, this is how you recognize, make things be recognized by people. Once you add detail, surely the recognition enriches and things get further easier for you to work, because you have options like you can add hair or you can add color. And lastly, I will talk a little bit about curves. And again, it doesn't matter if you're using the freehand drawn or the straight line. The thing with curves in pixel art is not so much as how you draw, but more so on how you think pixels. So you do have a straight line, it's easier. I will turn on the grid here. If you see, for instance, like this is a full diagonal line. If you go for something like isometric, you use a diagonal line of 2 pixels horizontal, 1 pixel vertical. People have like reading stuff like 2 by 1. I've seen a lot of people referring to it in different ways, but the important thing is that you have the numbers in there. So you must know in your mind that the inclination you want is a certain pixels horizontal and a certain pixels vertical, and that will give you different inclinations in pixel art. This for straight lines. When you go to curves, it's more like you are going for a straight line, and then you go like for a still long straight line, like 3 pixels, then you go like 2 pixels, the same line, then 1 pixel, then 1 pixel, and then you start on the horizontal. Surely, after you do this for a while, and let me zoom out, and you see it's kind of curved. If you zoom even more, you can see the difference between the lines here and the diagonals here, the diagonals here. So it kind of helps you figure out how things will work in your piece. How to actually make contours and stuff. So that's very helpful. That's important that you know how to use lines and curves. And it's more like what you have here than the way you are actually making it in pixel. It's like mathematics a lot more than just, you know, drawing. I know that a lot of people who come from a drawing background, like myself actually, but has straight access, I didn't, to a pen tablet or something that lets them draw straight in the computer, tend to approach pixel art in the very same way they used to draw. And I've seen that some people just go with it and do wonderfully, but others end up with messy art exactly because they are not used to how the tools produce things in a lower scale. So when you consider that we are quite close here in terms of scale, it's a small art, it's 32 per 32, just drawing randomly won't produce like I can do that. And look the difference, it's still a drawing, but you see a lot of extra pixels which are not present in this segment here. So yeah, it's more fun, but pixel art's not so much meant to be something like freehand drawing. It's more calculated, it's more about what you think, what you plan, what you see, and what pass on to others, or what you make the impression others want to see. So yeah, in our first video, in our in the next video, next topic. It will we start with a bit of detailing and coloring, but it's more about volume than straight up coloring. So it's more like, hey, let's use base flat colors and try to give some basic volume before I go full on into shading or textures or something else. So thanks for watching. See you next time and hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments or if you have any doubts, please leave a comment or email me. I try to reply to everyone as much as I can. For now, it's not so hard, but you never know in the future. So yeah, thanks again.